Good morning. In this week's parasha of VaEtchanan, Moshe pleads with Hashem. Rashi tells us this word Etchanan is related to the word chinam, which means a free gift. Moshe asks Hashem for a free gift. He says, please Hashem, can I go into the land of Israel? And we know the answer is, no, Moshe, you may not go into the land of Israel. And the question when it comes to this is, why not? So we know that we had this incident in Parashat Chukat, Moshe hit the rock, whatever it was that he did wrong. But we have this problem that he's denied entrance. But was it such a big thing? Hashem has rescinded greater decrees before. Hashem said the generation of those who worship the golden calf will be killed. Moshe was able to attain clemency on their behalf. Hashem said that he would kill everybody after the sin of Baal Peor. Pinchas was able to turn back that plague. But there are many cases, the Stom and Amorah, Abraham, so to speak, convinced Hashem, was successful in his argument that if there were righteous people, they should be saved. So Hashem is able to change what's going, and it doesn't always have to be that a person feels the full consequences of his mistakes. And so why is it with Moshe that Moshe is feeling these full consequences? So this is the question, and the answer we're going to draw from three different examples, but the principle is going to remain the same in all of them. The principle is, when it comes to negotiating any relationship, you have to pick your battles. And I think this is an extremely important point. The closer the relationship, the more loving and intimate the relationship, the more battles you will be able to choose. The more distant, casual the relationship, the fewer battles you will effectively be able to fight. Now, we're talking about it as fighting a battle, which perhaps is an unnecessarily adversarial term. It's the term that we're used to, but maybe a better way would to say, manage conflict. Confront the conflict, or ignore or avoid the conflict. The more intimate the relationship, the more you will be able to confront the issue and deal with it and actually work through. Whereas the more distant and casual, the more we will ignore what's actually going on and just deal with things on a very superficial way. Now, the first example of this is from the Tanakh, from the book of Melachim, the book of Kings, the first section, Kings 1, chapter 8, in which Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, is dedicating the Beit HaMikdash. And he asks Hashem that it should be a house of prayer, that people will come to pray to Hashem and that he will be responsive to their prayers. And this is what he says. When you hear from heaven the foundation of your abode, if there'll be a famine or a pestilence or all kinds of other trouble or enemies or plague or disease, for any prayer or any supplication that any person of your entire people of Israel may have, when he spreads out his hands in prayer towards the temple, may you hear from heaven the foundation of your abode and forgive and act. And, listen to this carefully, recompense that man according to his ways as you know his heart. For you alone know the hearts of all people. In Hebrew, v'salachta v'asita v'natata le'ish kachol drachav asher tedati bo ki ata yadata levadcha et levav kol bnei ha'adam. Pay back a person according to how he is. In other words, according to his righteousness. Shlomo HaMelech is asking for attention and response to the prayer, but he is not asking for a positive answer to the prayer. He's not asking for a yes. He's not saying, Hashem, whatever this person asks you, please give them. He's saying, Hashem, whatever person asks you, please respond to them. If they are worthy, they should get a yes. If they are not worthy, they should get a no. And that is as far as the prayer of a Jewish person. Next, he says, also a Gentile who is not of your people Israel. And you will come from a distant land for your name's sake, and you will come to pray at your temple. May you hear from heaven the foundation of your abode, a similar language, and act according to all that the Gentile calls out to you. So he says, whatever he wants you should do. So this seems a little unfair. The Jewish person comes who spent his whole life in relationship with Hashem, and he asks Hashem for something. Well, let's see if he really deserves it. Right? The non-Jewish person who's never known Hashem before comes on his first day. He says, listen, Hashem, can I have $1 million? Shlomo says, please, Hashem, give him $1 million. Why is it? So Rabbi Goldfein of blessed memory used to explain basically this principle. When it comes to somebody with whom you already have a deep and loving relationship, you can afford to be honest with them. You can say to them, listen, you don't deserve it. This is not going to be good for you. This is not the right thing. But everything along those lines, the answer is no. And in the context of a loving relationship, the person can accept that no and continue within the relationship. Okay, I understand. I don't like hearing no, but I understand that sometimes no is the answer. So saying no is also an answer. Right? So, however, when it comes to this non-Jewish person who has never had any kind of encounter experience with Hashem, he does not have a deep and loving relationship. And he comes and he asks Hashem for something. If he doesn't get it, so he's going to say, well, that was a wasted trip. He'll never think about Hashem in his life again. If he sees that his prayer is answered, this can be the beginning of a relationship. And so even if he doesn't deserve it, it's worth saying yes, because the consequences of saying no would be a complete end to the relationship. Right? It's a similar kind of thing. People often comment, how it is that you're having a bad day and you're feeling miserable and your family's around and you're miserable with your family and you're ratty and irritable and whatever else. And then somebody knocks at the door and you come and, hi, how are you doing? Right? So they say, well, if you can be like that with strangers, why can't you be that with your family? Now, I certainly think you should. Right? I just want to clarify that. I certainly think you should make an extra effort with your family. But I understand why people don't. It's because with your family you have a relationship that you can afford to be honest about the irritation that you feel. With a stranger who comes knocking at the door, you don't have any kind of relationship, so how can you be honest about it? People often make the mistake and carry this too far and assume that they will continue a relationship with those close to them, despite them being a jerk all the time, and that sometimes doesn't work. So again, I'm not encouraging such behavior, and sometimes the assumption is incorrect. But the place where it's coming from is that I assume we have a close enough connection that you'll understand when I'm not feeling good. That's the one example when it comes to Melachim. The second example, Rabbi Baruch Halevi Epstein gives in Baruch She'amar, in the prayer of Ashrei. Right towards the end, we say, Ratzon Yere'av Ya'aseh, VaEtchanan Yishma v'Yoshiyim. Hashem will fulfill the will of those who revere him, and he will hear their cries and save them. Now, Epstein says, hold on a second. On a simple level, the first part and the second part is a reflection. That's part of the poetic style of Tehillim, of the book of Psalms. First say something in one way, then say it in another way. It's that reflection. So Hashem will do what those who revere him say, and he will hear their cry and save them. But he says, but actually they're two different things. When you look at it a little more analytically, there's doing what you want, and there's saving you. So now he says, if Hashem's already done what you want, what do you need? Salvation. So he answers with the same principle. Sometimes somebody will say, Hashem, please can I have X, Y, Z? And the answer really should be no. But Hashem knows. It's not going to be good for you. But Hashem knows that if you hear no and no and no and no, it's going to be an end to the relationship. Hashem cannot afford to fight this battle, to confront this conflict. Not because of him, because of you. Because you've placed yourself in a situation where you're not prepared to deal with no. And so the only way to continue the relationship is for Hashem to say yes. But then you get it, and then you realize that's not good for you. So what do? You turn to Hashem, you say, please Hashem, save me. Please take it away. Hashem will take it away. Ratzon Yere'av Ya'aseh, he will fulfill the will of those who revere him. You ask him for something, he'll give it to you. And then when you ask to be saved from what you've asked for, he'll help you out with that as well. And then the third example is our case of Moshe Rabbeinu. The Maggid of Dubno says, why is it that with Moshe, Hashem comes down with the full force of the law? And other people, right, Hashem seems to go easy on them. So he says, because Moshe understands how much Hashem loves him. Moshe knows that he has this deep and loving and wholesome relationship, an honest relationship with Hashem. And so Hashem is able to say, Moshe, no. Whereas when it comes to many of the other people who do things wrong, they're not going to be able to deal with it. And so the consequences of Hashem really being honest with them are going to be more severe than the real acceptance. And so the main lesson that I want to say is, number one, the closer the relationship, the more honest you can afford to be. Sometimes when it's a more distant relationship, you need to paper over the differences, or even, in a way, ignore them. But those to whom Hashem is really close, with them Hashem is really honest. And so if you feel that Hashem is maybe being a little too honest with you, that's a very good thing, because He knows that you are mature enough and deep enough to understand it, to integrate it, to behave in accordance with that. Shabbat Shalom.